Back speaking with Tony Greenaway today from Core Energy Minerals. Tony, morning.
Morning, Andrew.
Well, just firstly, news, of course, recently these two new uranium projects in South Australia. But firstly, give us some backstory to Core Energy Minerals.
Yeah, sure. So look, Core's been around for a long time. I've been with the company for 4 years as a non-exec on the board. I'm stepping into a more executive role just more recently to drive the company forward. And we've had a bit of a change of strategy in the company. We're now, as you say, focused on uranium and those energy minerals, change of badging, etc. And that really sort of came out of the work that we have been doing in Brazil. We've got some very good government connections there and some really good, connections on the ground. And what it meant we could do was we've been able to go in and peg some really fantastic projects there in Brazil. We've got an MOU with the INB, which is the Brazilian government's uranium body, and it really sort of came out of their change of focus or opening up the uranium sector. It's something that's been locked for many years, and they haven't really done uranium exploration in Brazil, even though they're very rich in uranium deposits, and there's a lot of uranium there. So from our side, what we bring to the table for Brazilian government is on-ground expertise in Brazil and able to sort of drive that exploration forward, and that's what they're looking for. So it's a great strategic relationship we've got there, and are really good to get us on the ground on those projects, but they're quite early stage. We've got a bit of legwork to do to get them up to drill ready status. So we're active there. We've got a couple of projects in Namibia as well. If you're exploring for uranium, no better place to be than Namibia. So a couple of projects there that are still in application. So again, we've got a bit of a ramp to go to get them to drill ready status. So that's why I guess the South Australian assets are fantastic for the portfolio because they're drill ready.
And so you've got some historical drilling results for one of these
Hmm.
projects.
Yeah, that's right. So two of the two projects are sort of in a similar area. One of them is down on the Eyre Peninsula, anecdotally very close to our Western Eyre Peninsula project itself. That we've got our existing project there, and these were explored for uranium by a French company back in the 70s and 80s. And what they defined was a very broad palaeochannel system with a very nice, consistent gamma anomaly through that. So it's historic data, so it's a bit sort of hard to tease it out of the various data sets. But what we've been able to do is get this nice coherent data set there now. We've been able to show that we've got this anomalism over about 10 kilometres in this palaeochannel, and it's all nicely where it should be. It makes all the right sense for us geologically as to where it is. And it's very similar to some other deposits that are very close by in the same sort of environment. So it means that we've got targets ready to go and test straight away.
So what are the on-ground exploration plans?
So look, we've got a new exploration manager came on board with us as well. Charles, he's a uranium guy. 20 years is my vintage. So 25 years experience just in uranium, and he's based in South Australia. So that's great for us. It means we've got a guy who knows all about this style of mineralisation in the domain that we're looking at. To drive the exploration forward on the ground. So we're getting ready with our various approvals that we need to, the e-peppers in South Australia. So they're getting submitted in the next sort of couple of weeks. Then we'll be out on the ground talking to our farmers and landholders. And normally South Australia, they're pretty good. It's about sort of 6 to 8 weeks for approvals. So hopefully, we should be on the ground end of this quarter, drilling down at Cummins, which is, I guess, the most advanced of the two projects. And up at Harris, that's a bit sort of further to the north in the Greenstone Belt. We've got really well-defined palaeochannels there with existing ore granites or uranium-enriched granites around that, feeding uranium into that palaeochannel system. We've got deposits just to the north of us that show that it's forming in these palaeochannels. Not quite as advanced as Cummins. We haven't no drilling up there yet, but we've got these very well defined palaeochannels in our geophysics. So that'll be a matter of getting on the ground, doing some groundwork and mapping, etc. And the good thing about Harris is that we've got an existing native title agreement to get on the ground and going there. So both of those projects are in a state that it is really supportive of uranium exploration. We've got targets to go and drill. We've got all the access that we need to get in there. So, as I say, they really sort of give us that impetus to get going in the ground while we tick away at our projects in Brazil and over in Namibia.
And what is the general mood within the uranium industry currently?
Mm. Yeah, look, that's a really interesting question, and certainly, people that know me know that I sort of stand on a soapbox every now and again and tout the benefits of uranium and the nuclear energy and being one of the only ways we're going to be able to get to net zero at some point in time. It's got to be part of the mix, and what we've seen is a real change. I think a real watershed moment in the realization that this is the pathway forward. When you see the likes of Google and Microsoft and Amazon all backing uranium in terms of the power supply. All of our technology going forward with AI and these big data centers, they're so power hungry that you need good, stable power. And the only way to get that through non-carbon emitting sources is uranium. So, that if they're supporting it, when you see the likes of 3 Mile Island coming into the fray as being they're going to supply power, then you know there's been a change in the mood. So that bodes really well, and that's why we're focusing where we are.
Well, look, no doubt you'd argue there's a fair bit of upside potential for the business given your fairly modest market cap.
Yeah, look, absolutely. We are right on the stage and are now to get going. We've got some great projects. They're all based, as again, people that know me, we base all of our projects around base geology. There's good underlying geological models that we've been chasing, and that's why we've picked up the ground where we have. We've got a bit of work to do on some of them to get them drill ready, but again, in South Australia, we're ready to go. So our news flow is going to be very quick and very solid coming out of South Australia, whilst we build up our assets in Brazil and Namibia.
Yeah, great to speak, Tony. Thanks very much.
Great, thanks for having me.